friends, and welcome to the Dungeon Rundown. I'm your host, Trisha Hershberger, and I will be with you every Tuesday evening to chat all things Dungeon Run. We'll discuss the details, the theories, the legends, and the lore of Ein. But before we do, though, I want to just say hi to you there in the chat. Hello, chat. And I have to ask you guys, thank you so much for all the lovely Lord Araban names. What is up with that? Lord Arabananas, Lord Aratoots, I see right there. Hi, guys. So please let us in on that because some of the cast members of the Dungeon Run are here and we're all very curious to know who started that game. We're all very appreciative of it. And thank you all for being here so much. I did see earlier, Crabtree2113 said, I definitely hope they share some fan art. And don't you worry, that is definitely going to be part of the Dungeon Rundown, especially moving forward. So thank you all so very much for being here. And let's take a moment to briefly review what has happened on this show so far. So it began as a simple dungeon run. They were 5 adventurers: Civ Redthistle, the Tabaxi Rogue; Fahima Tig, the Genasi Wizard; James Quillis, the Human Warlock; Uggo, the 3/4 Orc Barbarian; and Lily Dumblestuck, Beach Gnome Bard. Bound together by their discovery of the Secret Keeper's Amulet, a powerful artifact which creates chaos wherever it goes. After meeting Torvald the Timid, a member of the magical conclave known as the Natural Order, the group embarked on a quest to find the missing Wardens of Ein. Now, the Wardens, colossal titans of ancient power, once protected the realms from sinister or cataclysmic threats. Having discovered the Wardens were abducted by an unknown foe, they managed to locate and rescue the Storm Warden from captivity. They soon discovered through the lost memories of the Warden that the great threat was looming on the horizon. Over 10 glorious episodes, the team leapt through magical portals, rescued a sky child, adopted a baby phoenix named Meep, flew Pegasi and a Pegasus to a tower in the sky, disguised themselves as robots. Robots was how we pronounced it? Yes, robots. Battled a mad tinkerer named Urtenfurt, were framed for murder in Turles, found themselves as a part of a prophecy, got trapped in a magical nesting doll, were haunted by the spirits of their allies who died in episode 1, and so much more. Now, if you want to see all that and you may have missed it, be sure to check out the Dungeon Run's past episodes on youtube.com/caffeinetv. All right, let's see. Don't forget the Hamlet, says our Poirer. Absolutely, sorry, cannot forget that. And yes, wow, we did a lot, says Jessica Lynn Parsons. Hi, Jessica. You guys, yeah, we did do a lot. It started off as a simple dungeon run. Nice, says Frua97. Yes, and thank you to all of you who have been here through the entire thing. I have to ask, do you have any favorite episodes that you would like to throw out there in chat? Let us know right now. Persona Freak 59 gives a little heart to Jeff and says, I wish I could DM that good. Jeff is an amazing storyteller, and we will maybe have him out here in just a second. No, the cast is not just in the chat. Sean Patrick, just to let you know. Red Robin says, last episode was amazing. It was amazing. Son of Joxer says, episode 5, when the lodestar fell. Yes, absolutely. Oh, that was a huge one for me. The feels, for real, right? So yes, thank you guys for being here for all of that. And no, the cast is not just in the chat. We actually have 2 amazing guests on the show today. But before I bring them out, we will be recapping the last episode. So let's see if we can get that recap going there for us. When we last saw the team, they had just rescued Lily from her magical imprisonment at the hands of a mystic in the shanty town near Turles. They decided to flee the city following a lead about the next warden's location. They portaled to a ship named the Tardy Plunder, already mid-voyage, and met with the crew who told them a wizard had hired the ship to sail to the Deep Reef, a dangerous region in the ocean. The group spent time adjusting to their surroundings. Lily sang a song about dinners. Fahima told her birth story. Uggo shared a special orc poem with Lily. And James and Civ had a late-night chat about trust and teamwork. The next morning, Lily learns the tragic news that her home of Bingle was attacked by forces from the sea. Fahima comforts a distraught Lily with a toast. Meanwhile, James finds that the wizard named Claudiette is following rumors that the Typhoon Warden may be imprisoned in the deep reef. The team negotiates and charms the captain to check in on Bingle first. On their way during the night, a violent storm sweeps Uggo and a crewman overboard. And with the help of the team, a well-placed grappling hook, a bit of levitation, and help from the community, they saved both from certain doom. Not long after, a haunting chorus sounds from the sky as harpies descend upon the tardy plunder. And that's where we left it. So how are you guys feeling after that last episode? Oh, Rogden says, Uggo, not worried. Well, we're glad to hear it, Uggo. I am excited as well, Persona Freak 59, most definitely. But this show is not just about me chatting with you guys about past episodes, which of course is so much fun and I could do this all day. But without any further ado, I would love to bring out to you here your DM, Jeff Cannata.
Hi.
Welcome, Jeff.
Hi, Trisha. How you doing?
I'm good. It's so good to see you here on the show and talk about all the wonderful storytelling you've been doing.
It's been amazing just listening to you talk about all this stuff I thought up. I'm like, I'm usually the one talking about it and have somebody else mention all those things. It's pretty wild to hear it.
How does it feel to be here in the studio and not have to run an adventure?
It's wonderful. It is a lot less stressful, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I bet it is. So lots of people in chat have questions for you. And folks at home, if you have questions for Jeff, please go ahead and throw them in chat so that I can ask them. But I saw this one a little earlier from Fruin97. And I think this echoes the sentiments of many of us, myself included. Wonder what all happened during the adventure when they found the amulet. So can you tell us what happened in episode 0?
Yes, yes. It was, it's too bad that we didn't get that recorded. I didn't think at the time that it would be a big deal, but it turns out that a lot of people want to hear about it. It was our time as a cast, as a group, to have our first adventure together. So it really was in episode 0. All the team saw a sign posted on a post in a town called Kippleturn, and they decided they were going to get some easy treasure by going on a simple dungeon run. And a fella by the name of Filt Le Conservasa, who's a very boastful guy who had been camping out this dragon's lair and noted that the dragon hadn't been there in quite some time, said it would be easy, just waltz right in and get the treasure. And he walked up to the front, and there was a trap that immediately killed him. And our team was then on their own to try to find treasure in the dragon's lair. There's a lot of stuff that actually happened. Uggo fell down a waterfall. They had to save him. There's a lot of really cool stuff that happened in that adventure, but it was just for us to get to know each other and just kick things off. And the result was they came out with this item trapped in crystal that turned out to be the Secret Keeper's amulet.
That turned out to be quite a big deal.
It turns out it was quite a big deal for everybody, yeah.
And so that then brings us into episode 1, maybe why all our players and you had such fabulous chemistry already, because you had already played together.
Well, I think we got really lucky. This cast is extraordinary, and they are just great people as well as great players. And we clicked as a group, and I don't think one session is enough to have the kind of chemistry that they all have, and yet they did. So I'm very lucky to have all of them making me look better every week.
Well, I think you do a pretty good job of making yourself look good, Jeff.
Well, there's also makeup. That helps too.
Shout out to makeup department. Now, a lot of us know you and your work maybe from the tech world or the video game world or from your theater background or podcasts or from all different places. But a lot of people are very curious to see how wonderful of a storyteller you are as a dungeon master. What is your D&D origin story?
Well, my D&D origin story is actually very similar to the origin story of me in the tech world and the podcasting world, because I was one of those kids. I was a real nerd growing up. Nerd when nerd meant nerd, and I wanted to play D&D, but I literally didn't have enough actual friends to play Dungeons and Dragons. So I fantasized about it, but I never did it until I was an adult, and I had some mutual friends that also knew other people that hadn't ever played D&D and wanted to, and there was this moment where this email went out, and a bunch of people who didn't really know each other well showed up at the old G4 offices, if people remember Tech TV and G4,
nice.
And we played Dungeons and Dragons, and it was actually the day that I met Alex Albrecht and Dan Trachtenberg, who I went on to make the Totally Rad show with. That was the origin of our friendship, and Alex created this show as well. So, you know, we've had a lifelong friendship after that. But that was really the first time I'd ever played. And that was me playing as a player. And then we kept playing sporadically after that. And at a certain point, I decided, I don't even remember how it happened. I think we just needed somebody to DM, so I did it. And I fell in love with that process because it's just a wonderfully creative thing to do. It's just so fun and freeing.
I feel like that's always how you end up getting your DM, is everyone's like, not it.
Yeah.
You need somebody to DM.
Yeah.
Who's it going to be?
Who's the one that's going to actually do all the work? Everybody else gets to show up and be like, what are we doing?
So superhero dude guy 85 says, how long have you been DMing? When was that happened?
That was in 2006 that we met. I don't know how much longer after that, but it, you know, it's been a while.
Okay,
Yeah.
so quite a bit. Do you? This is from Fat Papa Power. Do you enjoy DMing more than playing,
Very
or
much
vice
so.
versa?
Yeah.
You do.
It's more stressful, but I definitely love. You know, when you're a player, you get to play one character. I get to play all the others. You know, it is so much more fun to be one person one week and another person another week, or 5 people one week. I enjoy that. I enjoy the. I describe dungeon mastering. I said this to the cast a bunch of times. I describe dungeon mastering as throwing 50 surprise parties.
Okay.
And I love that idea of like, oh my gosh, something's gonna pop out of the cake. I'm not exactly sure how it's gonna work, but I put something in the cake that's gonna pop out. We're gonna see how people are gonna react. That is what it feels like to me to be the dungeon master. Is like I have all these wonderful things planned. We'll see how it actually plays out, and I love that feeling. So.
Branded Nerd in chat wants to know what your inspiration was for this world, if there was a specific inspiration.
That's a very long story that we probably don't have time for, but I will tell you this. I ran a campaign, or the beginnings of a campaign, with Dan and Alex and a group of guys, and I had this idea of saving some giants. And I looked in one of the random D&D books that I have, and there was this floating castle on clouds. And I was like, that would be a really cool place to have a giant be imprisoned. And then I was like, well, it could be just one giant. How many other? And then that's sort of where that happened. And when Alex was like, hey, let's do this show, this Dungeons and Dragons show. Why don't you, do that campaign that we never really finished? And I was like, well, I didn't really flesh it out very much. Okay, I'll do it. And then it was, it was like, it turned into something much different than it ever was when we ran it the first time. But these ideas just sort of spark, and then the players come in with all their stuff, and then that just explodes your imagination and your inspiration. So
how much of the story was player driven? Like, from what the players did in the moment, did you change trajectory from where you were going to go?
Oh yeah, I mean, for sure. As a DM, I think you always do that. But even before we started, so much of what the overarching storyline of this campaign is going to be came from what the players brought with their backstories, because we had a casting process for this show. They came in with characters already. I think only one cast member changed their character from the casting process, but they all came in with characters that were interesting and nuanced and had all this flavor and were so exciting. And that was part of the casting process. Is we're not just casting Morgan, we're casting James and Morgan. It was like the character they came in with. But the magical thing about that was then they showed me all this backstory that they had, and we had individual one-on-one meetings where I sat down with all of them and said, what are you thinking? Here's what I'm thinking. And it was very collaborative and very awesome, and they brought so many cool ideas, and it has absolutely fueled what the story of this world is and where we're going. It is 100% informed by the backstories, and literally every character is going to have some part of their backstory be very, very important to just the fabric of what's going on.
And so did they come into casting with a lot of these backstories already fleshed out?
I mean, I don't know how much of it, you'd have to ask them,
Okay.
but from my perspective, you know, we sat down on these individual meetings once they had been cast, and they all had really interesting things to tell me, and that was just so cool because it, you know, it's more stuff to work with, and you go, oh wow, okay, this is the thing I've been thinking of about what the world is like, and that fits really well with something they've been thinking, and I can tweak this and work with that, and that's the fun to me, is the creative spark of all those different collaborative juices, you know?
Yeah, I was wondering when I first saw the menagerie of characters that were in this adventure, I was like, oh man, there's a Genasi? Oh, there's a Tabaxi? Oh man, like, and so what, and I wondered if that was a decision you made as a DM to allow some other plane races in there, or if that's just kind of how it went.
Well, that's kind of how it went. That's what they wanted to do, and
Cool.
I'm a big fan of supporting what the players want. You know, I like to be a yes DM, but also the thing about our world and our show is that it is very homebrew, right? So we are using Dungeons & Dragons lore and texts and stuff to inform our races and our characters, but the way things work in this world is very, very different. You know, Genasi are not a common race. They're extraordinarily rare in Ain, and there's a lot of things that we're just kind of plucking what we like from the lore and using that as inspiration, which is, I think, what Wizards of the Coast want. That's one of the things they like, is take what you want and throw away the rest. It's really just there to create great stories.
Yeah, it's been really fascinating to watch, and I think it's really colored the story and made it even more unique. So thank you to all the players for choosing cool races.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
when Jared told me he wanted to be a cat with a mouse as a pet, I was like, I mean, I'm not going to say no to that. That's amazing.
How could you possibly say no?
Yes,
It's perfect.
wonderful.
Zabin, the Cyndaquil in chat, asks about the Nightmare Pegacorn. How hard was it to create? And I guess then follow up, did you create it?
I did not. Well, I used a few different ideas that I found from different things and put them together. I've been lambasted online that it's not called a pegacorn, that there's a name for that. It's called an alicorn, to which I retort, mine is called a pegacorn. That's the thing that's wonderful about Dungeons & Dragons, when somebody says, that doesn't work like that, and I go, well, mine does.
Yep.
Because I got to make it.
Yes, you did. DMing can be really intense. Not only the work that goes into it ahead of time and crafting the story as you go to what the players are giving you, but then balancing that with a live performance for a digital audience. How do you balance that? Or is it something that you don't even think about? You just run the campaign and hope the cameras catch it?
I think that there's probably, I don't know about balance. I think that's all part of it. I think that's the fun, is all the prep. And like I said, setting up the surprise party, but then the person you're throwing the surprise party for didn't park where you thought they were gonna park. Everybody move into the other room. We all gotta move into the other room because they're coming in the wrong door. Yeah. That is the fun. That's the like zany, wacky thing of like, okay, I sit in my room at midnight and I go, I think the players are gonna do this, or they could do that, or they could do that, okay. And then on the day, they do none of those things, and they come up with something that I didn't see coming at all, and you go, oh, why didn't I think of that? But that's the fun.
Roll with it. That's what improv's for.
Yeah.
I can just see you having like a crazy complex narrative tree, and then they just go a completely different direction.
Oh, there are so many things that I put so much work into that the team is like, nope, didn't notice that, and then move on. You know, it's but that's what DMing is. It's like writing, you know, 3 episodes of a TV show, and you only ever get to see one of them.
Yeah. Do you have any examples of like specific moments that may have happened?
There's every single episode has one. My favorite one recently was when we went to Griselda in the Shantytown, who's the hag of Shantytown, who the mystic. I spent so much time writing up tarot card readings for all the characters. Right? And then we get there, and Fahima's like, I want to go first. And I was like, well, okay, here we go. She was the one that was going to blow it all up, and she did. She blew it all up. And so we didn't get to any of the other characters. But it is such a cool. I'm so sad that we didn't get there, because it was layers and layers of foreshadowing and things that we were going to find out the future was going to be told. And I was like, yeah, 15 episodes from now, some fan is going to be like, he told us all of it in the tarot card readings. But no, not anymore.
Ash Jor in chat says, "Oh, I would have loved to see that," and I concur. So, at any point, will you release those tarot card readings at some point to the interwebs?
I will not promise to do that, but if it makes sense to do so, I will do so. But I don't want to, you know, that's the magic, right? That's the path not taken. You know, when you play Mass Effect or something and you didn't make one choice and you do another, that's you went this way, and that's what our cast did, and that's the story we're telling.
So I was going to follow up and ask you if you would ever post any like narrative trees of all the ways it didn't go online. But if you want to keep the magic magical, then
I mean, I'm tempted to do some of that, but I do think it is a magic trick. That's the fun. This is a improvised story that I have plans for in certain ways, but every single episode things don't go the way I think they're going to go, and that's the fun. That's what's special about Dungeons & Dragons.
And there's sometimes when it goes absolutely perfect that I think there's no way that Jeff could have planned that the players would choose exactly these things. But man, what a cool story. Like, I mean, I have to ask, when things happen to the heart of the group, which we can get more into later in this episode, but when things keep happening to the heart of the group and everybody needs to rally, I feel like Jeff had to plan that this is the way it was going to go, because that's how everyone rallies.
No, I mean, you're talking about Lily Dumblestuck, who I think definitely is the heart of the group. The first time it happened, when she fell out of the sky, no, that was not planned at all. It was beautiful, and it's one of the reasons that episode 5 still has a very special place in my heart, because it is one of those times where everything just worked right, and improvising on the fly, and her calling out to Torvald and with the earring, and everything just worked, and then the players ran with it and invested in it and invested in the truth of it, and it became this really beautiful, heartfelt moment. So the other one, though, and we can, I'll razz Katie when she gets out here, is the only reason that we had to worry about Lily a second time is because Katie got a job, and we had to write her out of an episode.
Oh, that's what happened.
So she touched the knick-knack of doom, and it wasn't my fault. I didn't want to put Lily in danger. And in fact, we found out last episode she wasn't in danger at all. She was on a nice little vacation, and everybody freaked out for no reason.
So I feel like this is the perfect time to bring out Lily Dumblestuck onto the stage here to talk about the way that this went. Katie Michels, everybody, welcome!
Hi, hello, everyone.
Welcome. Did you intend to get stuck in the knick-knack of doom then?
Well, I do like getting work. Okay. That was good.
Yeah.
I like how
the knick-knack of getting paid is what it was.
The knick-knack of health insurance. So, no, I did not intend for that to happen, but Jeff was so great about it. We talked about it, like, leading up to it, like, this might happen, just so you know, and then, yeah, he makes it work every week.
Congrats on the work, because that's awesome.
Thank you.
And we're super happy to have you back, and glad that you had a good time.
Yeah.
While stuck in the knick-knack.
It was great for me.
Yeah.
I sent him an email. He's like, what do you think happened in there? And I was like, he's like, so you had dinner all over the country? I was like, yep.
Yeah, I definitely didn't want to, when we knew that Katie wasn't going to be there, it was like, well, it makes sense that something happens to Lily, but I didn't want to keep having her be a damsel in distress. Lily is a very strong character, and we had, as you mentioned, we had that moment already where everybody was worried about her safety, and there was a part of me, I really went round and round about what we were going to do without her here. And one of the plans that I thought about doing that we didn't do is that Lily was fine and everybody else got sucked in, and then we were inside with them trying to get out. So they're the ones in peril, and Lily's like hanging out with Griselda, like
in the shop.
I don't know what happened to them. I guess I'll wait here until they get out. Yeah.
I would have touched everything else in the meantime. Yeah. That's very funny.
That would be hilarious, yes. So someone with the username Lily Dumblestuck fan, which I love, says, Lily is the party's glue, and I agree. And Lily, just from your perspective, the end of episode 5 was very heartfelt, and I think a really moment for the entire group. What did that look like from your perspective as a player?
Well, it was surprising. I think we were all surprised when the tower fell from the sky, for sure. None of us. Every week, by the way, we were all sitting in the green room like, what do we think? Maybe this is going to happen. Maybe. We're wrong every week. We never, like, he one-ups his self. Jeff does every week, and we never guess what's going to happen.
There's going to be some week where
It's going to have to come tumbling down at some point, Jeff.
I can't last.
Yeah, but that was very shocking, and it was the first time that Lily's a new adventurer, so she hasn't really left Bingle ever. And so that was the first like real brush with death that she's ever had. So it was big. Yeah.
Yeah, Lily has been through a lot in what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks. And she's asleep for one of them, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so from party life on Bingle to being one of the 5 people tasked with saving the world, how has that affected Lily? Can you give us some insight into, and if you don't want to share, that's fine because you want to reveal it in story, but please.
It's definitely taken its toll. I think Lily still like maintains her attitude, but everything has just become more real. Not that Bingle isn't real, but it's a vacation town, you know, it's island life. And she's seen people die while making eye contact with her. Like, she's seen people die in general. She's been out in the real world where things don't have like that little cherry on top. So I think it's been a wake-up call. But the reason she went to be an adventurer in the first place was to bring the joy that Bingle brings to people to the world. And like bring that good out to the world. So I think she's constantly, how I picture Lily is constantly being like, that's really scary. I really am sad by that, but I'm gonna be positive about it because that's what my job is here.
Well, and I commend you because that's a really cool backstory for a bard. And I think a lot of people find bards a more challenging class to role play. And part of that is because you have to come up with songs on the fly, or you just kind of meta game it and say, I'm gonna sing a song now.
Right.
But you don't do that. You take it the extra step and actually not only sing songs, but create your own songs. And I've seen many people in chat already talking about your songs. I know I was completely impressed with your songs. So Ashjor in chat wants to know, do you pre-prepare your songs? Because they're fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much. Usually I do. There's been a couple songs.
Episode 6 blew me away.
You did it in the moment.
She talked about the stuff that had just happened in the episode she did not know what was coming.
That's true. That one I did do in an episode.
Insane. That was insane.
Which at first I was like, is this a bad idea? Like, we're mid-battle, and I'm like jotting down my notes. But,
that is incredible. Incredible.
And then I think I made one up in like the first episode when she kept seeing people die, and I was like, I have to sing about this because this is like impacting her. But usually I'll prep them ahead of time.
So in real life, are you a songwriter or a poet or anything like that?
No, I did improvise musicals for a long time, so I think, like that makes me feel more comfortable writing them, but it's definitely, the hardest thing I find is like, sometimes I'll write them and be like, this is a 3-page song, because I'm trying to like sum up the story, and I'm like, no, I need to put it 30 seconds or less.
And it's hard to rhyme Torvald.
Yeah. Yeah. Torvald Portal.
There you go.
Kinda
See,
works,
that's why she's good.
It's wonderful, really.
Thank you.
Sean Patrick says, Lily's one flaw, she is too nice, so nice she can't even use her mocking attack. Want to tell us about how that went down?
Well, it worked. That was also ambitious. I mean, Lily thought it was really mean, so I think to her that was like completely successful, though everyone saved, right? Everyone saved, so no one was affected. They were just kind of shocked. I think part of her vicious mockery is just like, Lily's insults maybe is a compliment to some people, but to her it's like, this isn't the kindest thing I could say to you.
So what are Lily's, can you give us a peek behind the curtain? What are Lily's goals?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of touched on it, which is really to bring, all of her family has always stayed on this island her whole life. So she's a small town, small island girl, if you would. And it's a host island. So we bring people in, we make them have a good time, forget about their worries, and then they move on. But she basically had a run-in with an adventurer who came and started hearing stories about other places in the world and like bad things that happen to people or people that don't have this kind of joy in towns. And that was really what, in my mind, that's what inspired Lily to leave, was like, well, I then should leave because Bingle has enough joy here. I can bring it out to the rest of the world.
That's so kind of you and so beautiful.
What an amazing thing for, you know, it's an amazing thing for a game like this. So you don't hear, you know, this a game of violence and demons and all these things, and you have a character who's just like, I want to go out and make people feel good in the world. It's awesome. It's awesome.
I've said some mean things to people in the game.
But, you know, Lily mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you create the Bingle backstory yourself?
No. Jeff came up with Bingle, which was, I brought Lily, like, her personality to the audition, I would say, stayed mainly the same.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But then Jeff, when we had the sit down, he's like, so hear me out. I have this idea.
Well, she wanted to be a gnome, and there are various kinds of gnomes. And she was so wonderful in the audition, positive and bubbly, the way she is on the show. And I was like, she's not going to be a forest gnome. We have to come up with something that is her personality. And I was like, what about the beach? And she was like, yes.
I love
and so
it.
we sort of talked about it. And
When he said it, like, everything clicked more, I think, like what you're saying, because Forest Dome didn't feel quite right, but it was like what I had chosen. But yeah, then I was like, perfect. This is vacation.
It was
now.
great, and it fits with who Katie is and how she brings that character to life, and her positivity. And then, you know, she came up with a lot of the stuff about how Lily has a large family, because Katie comes from a large family, and so it really is a collaborative process with all the actors and all the characters in the show. And that's what's so fun for me. Like, they have such great ideas and spark great ideas in me.
Is Lily based on anyone you know in real life?
No.
Not at all?
No, really. I don't know.
You don't know any gnomes?
I don't know any gnomes from beach towns. No, I think Lily's like, I was like, that's the attitude I want to have when playing. And that's kind of how I started with her. I was like, what do I want to base start from?
And you've like waitressed in your life.
I have.
Like, so you brought stuff.
Yeah. Hospitality. I love hosting a party. Yeah.
I have to highlight Ursa Minor 1997 in chat made a song for Lily.
Whoa!
Just a tiny one, but here
I want to hear Trisha.
Yeah.
I don't sing well, so I will apologize in advance. But Ursa Minor 1997 says, just a small land girl living in a lonely world. She took the midnight waves, ... Fill it in your song.
Nice.
So
Going
good.
anywhere. Thank you, Ursa
completely
Minor.
plagiarized.
No.
Pretty
Very
good.
good.
Well, and sometimes Lily's songs take inspiration from melodies we've heard
Indeed.
before.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And
I went through one week where I was like listening to like Irish dirge.
I love it.
So my Spotify's super
I
confused.
can't wait to see your Lord of the Dance.
Right?
Lily puts on a kilt and
So a lot of people here, and I don't know if you guys can answer this or if you don't want to answer this, but a lot of people in chat are asking if the being behind Lord Ereban is here.
Oh, the being?
The being?
I actually don't know. No, don't know that.
Nobody knows the answer to that question?
I know who the being is.
Okay.
It's Zan
Might be.
Broman, who is phenomenal and awesome. I have no idea if he's in the building. He may be actually streaming opposite us right now. I do not know that.
Oh.
It's very possible.
Super
But
fun.
Zan is awesome, is an old friend of mine, and he brings just a wonderful quality to the show. I'm grateful to be working with him.
and I just met him, and now he's a good friend of mine, and I like him as well.
Lord Ereban says he's not here.
well, that's
Is what
good.
is happening in chat right now. But there's a lot of love for Zan. So
Yeah, Zan's awesome.
yay for that.
He deserves that.
Richard Johnson wants to know, Lily, do you guys rewatch episodes online to reveal secrets?
Oh, like the secret scenes? No. Though I will say that I did watch, so like the scene with Civ, I still haven't seen your guys' scene together because I think that's, I don't want to know. I think I could, but it's easier to play not having that knowledge. I will say I did watch, because I was gone for so much of the 10th episode, I watched that
Okay.
stuff, which I technically wasn't in, but it was so much for them to have to recap. But no, the little side scenes I try not to watch unless it comes out.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, for the secrets.
Yeah, no.
Jeff, whose idea was it to do the secret room?
It was mine.
That's really cool. Do you do that in your home games?
I do, yeah. In fact, Alex was like, it's so cool when you pull somebody aside and go into the kitchen. And I was like, well, you know, we could do that here.
I mean, did you see the reaction when he first did it? We all freaked out.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
yes!
there was a little bit of, I mean, it's not easy production-wise to do that. So there's a little bit of discussion
That's
of
true.
like, how's it gonna work? You know, how are you gonna cue us? And I was like, here's the thing, guys. I don't know. It's gonna happen. I don't know when. You gotta be ready. 'Cause I don't know when it's gonna
100%.
happen. Yeah, so that's the thing also. I mean, we're talking about ourselves and the cast, and that's all great, but the production team here is
amazing.
incredible, and it's a really different kind of job for them because I can imagine because you know, we have production meetings, and they're like, "Okay, Jeff, well, what's going to happen?" And I go, "I don't know. I think some stuff's going to happen, but they might not do that." And then we plan all these things. I mean, there are so many. If you knew how many things we have planned and we had camera positions for and things, and we just didn't do it.
Yeah.
We just didn't do that. The cast just decided not to.
Cool.
There's been multiple times after episodes we've just like gone up to our like art and production people like, sorry, we'll get to it next week.
Yeah. The ship was sitting backstage for 4 weeks, I think. And you know, and we have maps and stuff that we print out, and then the team just doesn't go there. So you know, it's a very different kind of thing. They have to really react on the fly, and it's amazing how seamless and great it all comes out.
So yes, kudos to the team that make it happen.
real.
And in case you didn't pick it up, I know Jeff mentioned it earlier, but Alex is the show director and creator, correct?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think director might not be the right word because we do have a director, but Alex is the show creator.
Yeah.
Awesome. And someone who personally campaigns with you outside of work.
That's right. Yeah. Although not anymore because now I'm like I got this. I have to do it for these. It's a job now. So I'm sorry.
Hey, how
job
fortunate!
now.
How fortunate that you get to play D&D and call it work.
It is the best. It is the best.
But yeah, I bring up the secret room because Georgina in chat says the secret room is awesome. We text each other at our home games, and in games that I play way back in high school, before texting was a thing, aging myself, we would pass notes.
Yeah.
You would get a note from the DM or now texting. But a secret room is really cool because then you can actually role play it out.
Jared has frequently passed me notes because
He has?
Yeah, because he does things that he doesn't want the rest of the cast to see because he's sneaky rogue.
Oh, I get it.
Sneaky rogue?
Yeah, way to play a rogue.
So he's sneaky rogue.
Darren, I didn't even know what was happening.
That's how
in
that
his
should
defense,
always
mostly is for little gifts for you guys. You know, he like gave Fahima a book and he does nice things. So
The
it's
sweetest secrets.
The circumspect sandwich says sneaky sieve.
sneaky Civ.
Sneaky Civ, indeed. So we talked about Jeff's D&D origin story a little bit, but Katie, for you, you're relatively new to Dungeons and Dragons. What has this whole experience been like for you as a player?
Great, first off. Yeah, I'm the babe of the group for sure. I was thinking about this on the way here, and I actually made D&D characters with, I've been a theater kid my whole life, which is basically like real life D&D.
It's true.
It's just one long role play. But in high school, we used to make D&D characters, but we never like played the game. We would just like make different elves and be like, this would be cool, we could do this. But like, I don't think we had a DM.
I was gonna say, you couldn't
remember,
find a
like,
DM,
I don't think anybody actually knew how to play. We were just like, this is a cool, like, fun thing to talk about.
Yeah.
But then, other than that, I've really just like guested on games here and there. But this is my first like big campaign, and I was very nervous. I had major imposter syndrome coming in. Because I went to the audition and I was like confident and I was like, this is fun. I love storytelling and I love D&D and this is gonna be great. And then I got to the callback and everyone was talking about like different editions of the books, and all of a sudden I was like, oh no, oh no. But really at the end of the day, it's storytelling, which I'm very confident in. I'm just really scared of math. So that's the part that makes me. If you watch like the first couple episodes when Jeff's like, "Hey, could you do like a history check?" I'm like, you can see me be like, "Oh God," that part really gives me anxiety.
Aww.
But not anymore. Not anymore.
Well, thank goodness we're not playing second edition.
I know.
Because there's a lot more math than that
I learned a lot more now that I'm playing. I'm like, okay, I'm in great. 5e is amazing. Yeah.
I love having somebody in the cast who isn't you know, steeped in D&D history, because invariably Katie will approach a problem in a way that is novel and interesting, and it comes from a place of not having any assumptions. And the rest of us who've played D&D for a long time, even regardless of how outside the box you think, there are certain things where you go, well, this is how the game works. And Katie didn't come in with any of that baggage. She just approaches it as this free-form improv, and I love it. I absolutely love it, because she's constantly thinking of things that none of us, the rest of us, wouldn't think, or approaching things in ways that are so much more interesting. So I like having that in the cast, and I also like maybe that person watching for the first time who's never played D&D can look at her and go, oh, yeah, no, you don't have to be encyclopedic knowledge of this game. You don't have to have that in order to still have fun. You can, it really is a game where the rules are secondary to the story.
Yeah.
And that is such good advice to anyone who's new to D&D. I think a lot of people can feel overwhelmed by everything. So Lily, Katie, do you or Lily have any advice for any new players out there that may want to get into this world, but maybe kind of like yourself feel a little intimidated by, oh, how many books do I have to read before I can play?
Exactly. Well, I think that was, I give a lot of credit to Jeff for me relaxing before the show started, because he sent me an email after I got cast. He's like, so I get the impression you haven't played a ton of D&D. So I was like, oh, okay, I don't have to like pretend I know everything. But I don't think I think the core of D&D, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is storytelling and listening and engaging with each other. And like the rules are really important and are fun and make it more fun because it give it the structure, you know, but it's just remembering that you're just telling stories with your friends, and you're creating scenarios that you want to explore. And I think that is what I've settled into, and we're lucky with such a great group of storytellers too, and Jeff tells stories with such heart. It makes it easy, but that's really what the core of the game is.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Gary Gygax and his buddies wanted to live the Lord of the Rings, and so they're like, let's make rules. But in the books, in the player's handbook, it says, and the DM guide, it says, all these rules are there to be thrown away if you don't need them. It is explicit. They are there to unlock story, not to lock down story.
And that's one of my favorite things too now is like reading. Sometimes I'll do this. I'll like read about a spell, and then I'll go take it to someone who has played a lot and be like, this is what I was thinking. And they're like, I guess you could do that with it. Like, and that's always kind of the answer. Like, I guess, yeah. There's no really in the
Yeah, I mean, it's different people have different styles. There are some no type players, and that's one style. I like being a yes person. When, for example, when Lily in an early episode wanted to charm a robot, right? Technically, you're not supposed to be able to do that, but she was impersonating a robot, and so I was like, no, we're gonna let her maybe reprogram it in some way.
My thing was, I was the first thing it saw when it was birthed.
Right.
Okay.
No, and that to me is the heart of Dungeons and Dragons. Is like she wanted to do something in her imagination, and my job as the DM is to ask the honest question: can we do that? Like, does it make sense? And if it really doesn't make sense, we won't. But most of the time, you can go, hey, I want that person to live that dream, that moment. It's a tiny moment, a tiny dream perhaps, but it is this imaginative moment, and I want the team to do the things that they think are cool. And that's what everybody talks about with the rule of cool, right? If it sounds awesome, if it's gonna make the day more fun, do it. Yes, say yes.
Yeah. And I also think be okay if like I've learned too, like be okay when it doesn't go your way. Like if you were to say no to that, like, okay, like next idea. And that's like, I think it's easy to get too married to an idea sometimes, and it's all about being cool in this game. Just like rolling with it and staying true to your character, but being excited for whatever happens.
Yeah, the rule of cool.
Yeah,
as
really.
Jeff said. Yeah, I mean, as a DM, you have to act as both narrator for the story, but also referee for the rules. And a lot of times I think people see referee and think the person who enforces the rule and think kind of a negative connotation. But if you are a yes and DM, then it doesn't need to be a bad thing. So a lot of people in chat, since before tonight's episode even started, have been commending your DM skills and saying they wish that they could learn from a DM like you. So do you have any good tips for the DMs out there, either DMs who've been running campaigns for a long time or people that are new just wanting to get started?
I think it's the stuff we've been talking about, right? It's understand that your role is to facilitate the fun. You're throwing the surprise party, and you want the party to be awesome. You want everybody to go home from the party and be like, that was the best party! I can't wait till next party. And that, I mean, they call it a party, right? It's your party of adventurers. That is how I look at it, as you know, I want to wow these 5 people first, and I get excited about the things that they get to do and see. And then when they present something that they want to do in the context of the game, I want to figure out how to make them go, oh, that was awesome. I'm so glad I got to do that. And yeah, you are the referee a little bit, and there are things that I have to say no to, sure. But you know, anytime anybody asks me for advice about this stuff, I always say the things we've been saying, which is, don't stress about the rules. I mean, there's a lot of people who take the rules very seriously, and I respect that. And there are games that are really about crunching the rules and playing the game mathematically. And if you're into that, more power to you. I think it is about creating and feeling like you're part of an epic adventure. And so throw out what you don't need, take what you like, and unlock your imagination. That's what it's about.
And I think that would maybe be a tip too of like finding your D&D group is finding like-minded people, like being in agreement with, yeah, we want to tell this fun adventure. Or if it's a bunch of rule lawyers, have that group and like play the game by the book. Like that would be an insane D&D game to watch.
I'm sure a lot of people do.
Yeah, and I'm sure they do. And that's fine. And that's the beauty of it. It's all fine.
I had a friend once describe it to me that there should be like speed dating, but for D&D groups, where you can sit in with a different DM for like 20 minutes and feel out if this is a group you're compatible with or not. Because I'm one of those crazy people that actually likes the mathematics and the rules. To me, it makes everything more immersed in reality, and it makes it more believable to me, and then I can really get deeper into it. So everybody's different. So if you guys find the crazy rule DM, let me know.
That's awesome.
Hit me up. We got your girl.
I think that speed dating thing is called Gen Con.
Oh, yeah. Yes, exactly. Gen Con just started as speed dating, and it's grown to what it is.
There might be actual speed dating at Gen Con, so don't get confused. Anyone who's there, that might be a real thing. Jared K. Jack in chat says, Jeff, best way to DM is to kill an island of peaceful gnomes. Wink face.
Oh, gosh.
Womp womp. But it had so many likes that I had to share that comment.
That was him slipping you a note, actually.
Yeah.
Via chat.
There are so many people in chat asking if Dungeon Run will ever have an opportunity to like do a giveaway for a fan to come into the studio live and either act as an NPC or a player. Or it's right here, Jonathan Pop says, seriously though, is there room in the studio for an audience? And
there's room. There's lots of room. It's not a question for us.
There's room. Yeah, not a question for anybody.
What if we just answered like positive? We're like, yeah, absolutely. We're bringing next week. We both get fired.
I'm having a fantastic time with the audience today, and I know that that Jeff, you get to see some of that as well. Have any of the audience interactions influenced your storylines and your narrative?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, that's what's so crazy about this particular show, this particular version of this game that we're playing, is that it is influenced and crafted with this sixth character all the time. Every part of the show is filtered through the audience interactions, and it's crazy. It took us a little bit to get used to, quite honestly, but last week is the perfect example of how the cards and the advantage and disadvantage and even the amulet saying things and influencing the audience's wants and desires makes for a richer experience, in my opinion, and it is really what separates us, I think, from a lot of the other shows. It's crazy. I mean, in the library, an entire character, I was having a thief slit the throat of a character. That's what I said happened. And a force of good prevented that from happening. That character then came back and saved the group by bringing them through the guards in Nightstone Abbey. I mean, none of that would have happened had she died right there, right? That's what I intended to have happen. And the cards that a viewer, I think, created and certainly provided stopped that from happening. And last week, we had Uggo levitated out of the water from that.
I think that's happened multiple times. I have to go back and look now. But there's been multiple times when the viewer forces of good have really saved us in a lot of ways.
And throw curveballs and even just advantage and disadvantage changes the storytelling completely. So I like it. I think it's pretty amazing that the audience gets to participate like that.
It is very cool. Now I have some behind-the-scenes questions from the audience. Ghosty Trickster says, how did you guys determine stats?
Oh,
The way you
Yeah.
do with D&D, you roll your
roll
dice and you craft it. I know that I think I didn't really actually oversee any of that. Some DMs like to be real hands-on.
There's a couple different ways to do it. Again,
Yes.
rules nerd. There's a couple different ways that you can predetermine stats if you want to choose, from like the predetermined numbers and just kind of fill them in. If you want to roll 3d6.
Right.
I think
or
everyone
4d6.
did the latter,
Okay.
from my understanding.
I honestly
for them,
didn't.
but
I
I don't
told
know.
people to do
Yeah,
it how they
point
wanted
by-
to do it.
That's what I did.
Exactly. Point by manual or standard array. Thank
Right.
you, Oregon Stormax.
I trusted everybody to do it the way they wanted to do it, and honestly, I'll be totally frank with you, I didn't have time at that time because I was like, when do we start? I don't have enough story. I don't know what.
And then we took forever to get through our first episode. You're like, all right, I'm fine.
Well, when we started this, we only thought we were going to do 10 of them.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
I had a complete story in 10 episodes that we were going to tell, and so.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. So
Thank you for
do
watching.
more.
We have to do more. So that was I was trying to write that story at that time, and so I was like, I don't have time to help people roll up characters.
roll some dice.
Yeah, just do whatever you want. So yeah, and I trusted these guys.
And when
They're
we level up, we
Right.
usually just do it at the table
awesome.
after the episode.
Okay. A lot of people are saying they're very glad that there's more than 10 shows, and so are we. So
Yes.
thank you guys for that.
Unbelievably grateful.
Yay! Ursa Minor 1997 says, Jeff, are you ever going to give Lily back her flute?
Stay tuned.
Oh!
I just want everyone to know, because there was a comment when we were at the in Turles, we went to that market and Jeff handed out that sheet with everything we could buy, and flute was on there and blatantly sharpied out. Like, he didn't like white it out. Like, you could still see it said flute, but he sharpied it out.
No flutes. And we have viewer submitted Forces of Good and Evil cards, and every week there are many, many, many flute for Lily, flute, and I veto all of them. So it will be a thing, and as it should be. It's her Excalibur, right? So it needs to be.
Okay.
It needs to be a thing.
Also, just realizing I have to tell my grandma, if she's still alive, about that this week, that I lost her flute.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's a lot.
It's gonna be a big week for Lily. It's a big week
It
for
was a
Lily.
big week last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, is there anything that you're looking forward to or dreading in the upcoming episode?
I
And
mean-
Jeff, poker face?
I'm dreading because I don't know if my family's alive. Like, I have no idea the state of Bingle. It doesn't sound good. So I'm trying to be optimistic that they're all fine. The Dumblestucks are a smart bunch.
What was your reaction when you first found out that Bingle was in danger?
I started crying.
I think it's on camera.
It's on camera.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
don't know anything going into the episode.
I had no idea.
No.
I really didn't expect that. I think because we've talked about Bingle only in such positive ways, to even have it muttered, and I think you said like, oh, no one goes there anymore. It was just like, what? That is my whole identity.
This is an example of structurally something I could never have planned that worked out beautifully.
Okay.
And it has everything to do with viewer interaction. Katie, in her backstory, months ago, before we started, wrote, she's a beach gnome. I want one of her weaknesses to be that she has an allergic reaction to pineapple. Right? Just kind of a silly, goofy thing, but fun. Like, it's
Sure.
in there. Who knows if it'll ever come up, what it is, fine. A viewer submitted Force of Good
that's
card
crazy.
was this pineapple potato squid.
Yep.
I didn't write that. That was submitted by a viewer of the show, and I don't know where they got that idea from.
Yeah.
But I saw that, and I knew it was going to be in that deck of cards somewhere, because I thought, oh, this is crazy that this pineapple thing is going to happen. This week, that happens. I think Civ got the thing. It comes out. Lily has an allergic reaction to the pineapple.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about Bingle, and it's this beautiful setup for discussion of Bingle and how great Bingle is, and that there's fruity drinks for Bingle. And if you wrote a script for how you wanted the reveal that Bingle is in peril, you would want this setup.
The lighthearted setup.
You would
that
want the
seems-
discussion
yeah.
of what Bingle is and how great it is there, and that it's this tropical paradise, which I didn't write, I didn't create. It happened because this card happened, and she had this backstory, and it all happened organically, and I didn't do any of it. They all started talking about it because she had this allergic reaction. Oh, all the drinks in Bingle fruity, and we're talking about Bingle. Moments later, we meet Sharn the orc, who reveals that Bingle is. So it's like, that's the magic of Dungeons and Dragons, is somehow serendipity created the perfect setup and payoff inside that episode through improvisation and all kinds of things that I could never have planned.
Like the castle room?
That I did plan. that I planned meticulously.
That was so good, and your victory lap around the table just sealed it, I think, for everyone. That was so good.
I want to show you something. Can I show you something?
Yes, please do. Okay, camera, go!
No. Camera doesn't have to go. I'll come back.
Okay.
This is the map that we made for the show. That the amazing J.P. Couvert drew for me. I wrote up a very ugly version of this and sent it to him and like, can you make this beautiful? So I made the Isle of Rum. It's down here in the bottom left.
Okay.
My left, you're right. And I just thought it sounded cool.
Yeah.
And then I'm coming up with this boat thing before we ever started the show, and I think of this guy, and he's boastful, and his name's Mervis Blowhard, and he's like this boastful ship captain, and I'm like writing up all this fun backstory for Mervis Blowhard, and I'm like, he's gonna boast about how fast his ship is, and then like who boasts about a fast ship? And I'm Isle of Rum, oh my God, and I come to this Castle Rum thing, and I get on the phone with JP, and I go, you gotta draw a castle on the Isle of Rum. You have to draw a castle so I can do the joke. The only reason that castle is there is so I can do the joke.
The whole story started with that joke.
That is the only, I don't know. I had to show that to you.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
I love
This map
it.
is amazing and JP's amazing.
Love it.
It was a big victory moment, I think, for everybody who saw it as well.
I can retire happy now.
Yep, absolutely. And so we are almost out of time, but I want to get in. Eborgan Stormac says, who has been your favorite, and this question's to both of you, who has been your favorite NPC in the story so far?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I love Jorl like everybody else just because he's so positively negative, which is such a weird juxtaposition. And I just could go back and visit him every day.
Do you think Jorl is where Lily will go eventually if it gets dark enough?
Maybe. I mean, maybe. Just, I'm fine, but hanging on by a thread. Yeah. Yeah.
Jeff, favorite NPC?
I mean, Jorl's fun. I was very indulgent with Jorl. I did not expect him to. He's like the Urkel of the show, where he was supposed to be there for just 15 minutes, and everybody's like, more Jorl. So I don't know. He's fun. I don't know. I like them all in different ways.
I liked your Urtenfurt too.
Urtenfurt's
Urtenfurt
fun.
was really fun.
He was fun to write rhyming riddles and things. I like Diptha, but everybody says that she sounds like Mrs. Doubtfire, so that made me feel bad. Yeah.
What?
I'll have to go back and rewatch to see if I get some serious Mrs. Doubtfire vibes. Yeah.
I did not get that.
Mrs. Diptfire?
Diptfire.
Somebody called it that, I think.
Oh. That's the one comment that you really, Diptha really took it to heart.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for chatting with us in this time. I want to turn it over to chat. Before we wrap things up and go, I want to remind everybody that for all of our amazing artists out there, if you would like to submit your fan art to be featured on future versions of this show, so it's not a part of tonight's episode, but we'll be moving forward, you can submit your drawings, paintings, sculptures, needlework, whatever it is that your creative heart is inspired to make. You can submit all of that at thedungeonrun.fandom.com. Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for tonight's show. So I want to say thank you so much to my two guests, Jeff and Katie. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Yay! Thank you to everyone in chat for your insightful questions. Please keep them coming next week. We will see you here. But before that, we will see you here tomorrow night for episode 12. To Bingle!
To Bingle!
Bye, everyone.